This happened back in 2017 when I was 14 years old. I had this good friend named Alex. And yes, I remember it being Halloween of 2017. My costume was a vampire. Meanwhile, Alex, his was a gorilla. We hit like every house that we could find. Almost everybody in the whole entire neighborhood was giving out candy, which was really great. It was really early in the evening. Coming to our 10th house, our buckets was almost completely full. We were surprised. We were thinking this was probably the best Halloween ever. But then it became the worst. And this is how. Things was going as planned for me and Alex, just getting out trick-or-treating, getting a lot of candy. It was a good time. Until we saw this guy in his truck. The truck was old. It was a 1992 Chevy Silverado. And the guy stepped out of it and came over straight to us. And stopped right in front of us. The guy was really big. He was like 6'4", 260 pounds. He looked like somebody you would not want to mess with. Long hair, tattoos everywhere, and he even had a front tooth missing. He kind of reminded me of someone that's been in prison before. He just stood there looking at me and Alex, and then he spoke. "You really love trick-or-treating? I have lots of candy over at my house. You would love to talk to my wife. She's the best woman you would ever ask for." Me and Alex just stood there in confusion. But again, we didn't want to rub the guy the wrong way, so we politely said no and tried to walk off, but the guy kept following us. He kept on saying while following, "Come on, just get in my truck and we'll go get you some candy. Come on, get in my truck." That's when Alex screamed, not said, but screamed no to the man. That's when the man got in front of us, stopped us, and just looked at us, mostly looking at Alex. That's when my brain was thinking, "Alex, you just did it." Then a moment of looking at Alex, then he turned his head over to me, and then gave me an evil grin, pushed me to the ground, and then walked off. Then me and Alex were just sitting there, just thinking of what happened. But me and Alex just brushed it off and just tried to continue on the day. Then nothing else happened until I got home that night. I remember it being 9 o'clock. My mom said that her and my dad will be gone to a party, so they won't be home, meaning I'll be home by myself. And I was alright with it. Until I saw the same truck from earlier parked in the front of my house. The same Chevy Silverado. That's when my heart began to race. I texted Alex about it and he said, "Oh no." He said, "Go in immediately and lock the door." I said okay and quickly checked the bushes and got up in my porch. And I remembered thinking, did this guy break into my house? Is he hiding somewhere in my backyard or in my front yard? Or am I just overthinking it? But I got in my house, shut the door, and locked it. And the first thing I did is when I got in, I yelled, "Is anybody in here?" And as soon as I said that, I heard a creak upstairs. But again, I thought I was just probably overthinking it, so I tried to ignore it. I still didn't feel safe of being in that house alone, so I slow walked to the steps, and then I yelled up the stairs, "Is anybody up there?" And as soon as I yelled, I heard running from upstairs. That's when I quickly ran out of the house. And then when I was outside, I quickly ran to a neighbor's car and hid under it. And then, as soon as I hid under the car, I saw the guy step out. It was the same guy from earlier. He was looking all over for me. He even looked under his truck and then started running down the neighborhood, yelling like a madman. That's when I texted Alex, explaining what happened. And he said for me to call 911 immediately before he comes back. And as soon as I got done texting Alex, I looked at my house and I saw out the upstairs window a face was looking at me. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. All I could just see was their face, just looking at me. I was already disturbed enough by that. I quickly ran to a neighbor's house, knocked on their door, and explained everything as soon as they answered. And so the neighbors brought me in, and of course I dialed 911, explaining everything to the operator. And as soon as I got off the phone with the police, I went over to the window. I saw the guy get in his truck and just drive off. But even though he drove away, I still didn't feel safe going back over there to my house because after seeing that face upstairs. So I stayed over to the neighbors until the police arrived. And a few minutes when the cops showed up, I took them into my house explaining everything. They searched everywhere in the house. They came back with nothing. And I explained that the driver drove off and I saw a face upstairs at my upstairs window. I even gave them the model of the truck he drove. He drove a 1992 Chevy Silverado. It's been over like 5 years now, and the memory of that year has not left my mind. And probably will never will. I remember it being Halloween week of 2021. I wasn't really a big Halloween fan, but I didn't hate it either. I actually admired the holiday. It was just my sister who was really into Halloween. But anyway, let's get into the story. This story took place last year on October 24th of 2021. I was 17, while my little sister, who I'll call Anna for this story, was 16. I was in my senior year in high school, while my sister Anna was in her junior year in high school. They were having a Halloween party down at the park. I chose not to go at first, but Anna said she wanted for me to go that bad, so I just man up and went. Just to give me something to do. When we entered the parking lot of the park, there were a lot of people there that we were having a really rough time trying to find a parking spot. It took us 5 minutes, but we eventually found a parking spot that we can park at. Then after we parked, Anna went to go talk to her friends. Meanwhile, me, I just sat around, just playing on my phone, just doing nothing. When I was just sitting around, I noticed this one guy that was sitting by himself. He didn't look familiar. The park was right behind a neighborhood, so everybody in the neighborhood would normally go to the park. So that's why I said he didn't look familiar, because I just didn't see him in the neighborhood. But he could have just been new, I thought to myself. So, what a nice guy I am. I tried to go over there and try to start a conversation with him, but no matter how much I tried, he still remained quiet. I'd ask him questions like, where are you from? Who you married to? Where'd you go to school at? But he wouldn't answer me back. 5 minutes later, when I'm still trying to open him up, he would finally open up, saying something about my sister, saying, that girl is so cute and hot. She is definitely the one. That's when I strictly looked at him. I mean, this guy looked to be in his late 50s, and he's saying a 16-year-old girl is the one for him. That's when I told the man, how old are you? He said he was 57. That's when I admitted to the man that was my sister, and her name was Anna, and she was 16 years old. So she was too young for him. That's when the man looked at me for a second. He stared me down like if he was giving me an inspection. He stared me down, and just walked away. During the entire party, I kept my eye on the man to make sure he doesn't get near my sister or nor tries to hurt her. When it was 10 o'clock, Anna wanted to go home because the party was getting ready to end, and I wanted to go home too, so I got my things, so did Anna, and we started heading to our car. But on the way to my car, there was this car that was right behind us. I looked through the windshield of it to see who was driving. It was the same man from earlier that I was talking to. I grabbed my sister's arm, started pulling her, because I wanted to get to my car in a big hurry after seeing the man. After me and Anna found our car, Anna wanted to know what was going on, and I said I'll explain later, and then we got in the car, got in, shut it, locked it, and then I was in a hurry to get out. I raced out of the park's parking lot. Meanwhile, that man following us. That's when I knew very well, if I wanted to go home, I needed to lose this man. Or otherwise, he will know where I live if I do go straight home. So I decided to drive around till I lose him. After we exited the parking lot, we went straight, so did he. We made a left to go to McDonald's, so did he. I got Anna some food, and then he was just watching us in the parking lot. So I exited the McDonald's parking lot, then I just went straight, so did he. So I decided to drive to a nearby police station. Hopefully that would have scared him. And mission accomplished, it did, because he went to the different direction. And that's when I decided to drive straight home. Me and Anna went home with nobody following us. And as soon as we got home, I explained everything to Anna, that there was an old man watching her. Her face turned white after I explained everything. But I hugged her and said, it's over, we don't have to worry about it. He's gone, there's no way he'll find us. And yep, that was the last time I ever saw the man. And yeah, it's been a year now, but I still hope not to see that man again. Especially getting around my sister.